now with Steve Martin. He's the CEO of Pond Technologies. Steve, welcome back.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It was a little bit of a
kerfuffle getting in here.
Getting in, but I feel comfortable now.
Good, good. So we had you in here last year, and you had a whole bunch of interesting things going on. Why don't we refresh the audience's memory with what exactly does Pond Technologies do?
Pond Technologies takes untreated stack gas emissions from large final emitters, and we grow algae on it. And the algae has value. It has value as an animal feed, as an aquaculture feed. For human consumption, as a matter of fact, we actually grow a material that's the most powerful antioxidant known. It's called astaxanthin. We just recently completed an acquisition of a company that's been in that marketplace for quite some time, completing a vertical integration sort of play that has been very important for us.
Okay, so how does it make money?
It makes money because the algae is worth an awful lot. The astaxanthin product that comes out of the algae, it's about 10% of the mass. It's worth about $7.5 million a ton.
Wow. And how many tons a year do you sell right now?
Well, you know, we're targeting to sell 1 ton per year from our Markham District Energy site that's coming online in 2019. But already we have significant sales through both wholesale and retail channels with our new brand called Regenerix. That's one example of algae products. We have others. Aquaculture feeds are worth less, but the markets are huge. You know, 2,000 to 3,000 US per ton, etc.
So going back to that stack generated algae, what does it cost you to generate a ton?
It's about $600 per ton, something on the order of that. It depends on what you're growing. There are some minor differences, but we're building a full-scale plant at Stelco in Hamilton.
Really?
As well, we're building with Markham District Energy in Markham, Ontario on their combined heat and power plant.
Now, does this take CO2 out of the atmosphere, out of the stack?
It takes it out of the stack, but not just the CO2. We take all of the pollutants. We take everything that goes out the stack, goes into the algae, and the algae very happily eat it all. And the sort of very interesting part about it is a couple of the technologies that we've developed have overlap with areas of interest that I know that you guys have been covering. Cannabis, for example. Our growth technology is directly applicable to cannabis applications, and we've been developing it and filing appropriate intellectual property to try and expand the technology out into that area. As well, that's sort of the upstream, the idea that we could help grow in cannabis, but as well, the astaxanthin product that comes out the other end is a sort of a co-product that goes along very well with edibles and CBD and THC. So we have opportunities to affect both up and downstream in the cannabis market as well.
Oh, fantastic. So the astaxanthin product, so this is something that is good for human consumption?
It's actually tremendous for human consumption.
Really?
Sort of anecdotally, I can tell you if you take 12 milligrams, you get no hangover. It helps prevent sunburn. It's the most powerful antioxidant known. So oxidative damage is what sort of injures us. If you take, people typically take between 4 and 12 milligrams a day. You'll find that you have reduced joint pain, inflammation. It fights all 3 causes of inflammation. I can't remember offhand, but the number is somewhere between 600 and 3,000 times more powerful than vitamin E as an antioxidant.
Sure. Okay, so right now on my NDI, you'll see it on this screen. So this is your Superior Algae Harvesting Platform.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if you can just walk us through where the value is in this, because it's not something that you can look at and easily understand.
For sure. Algae is well known. People grow it by accident in their swimming pools, routinely. But the idea of having a repeatable industrial production of algae with all its value, because we're into a time where sustainable proteins are very important. It's a UN sustainability goal, and everybody is quite worried about that. What we have done is developed a platform technology that lets us grow any of the myriad strains of algae you might like to grow that are suitable for human consumption. They're suitable for nutraceuticals, as I said, with the astaxanthin product. And the value proposition is that we can do that using an industrial output as our input. 1 ton of algae requires about 2 tons of carbon dioxide to grow. Our plan is to grow many tons, to hundreds to thousands of tons of algae as we grow the company. Therefore, we need many tons to hundreds to thousands of tons of CO2. Conveniently, and actually sort of serendipitously, industry provides that for us and concentrates it in the form of an emission point.
Wow.
So it's sort of a virtuous circle.
So can this reduce the pressure on arable land that currently is being largely consumed by animal feeds, because we can replace it with this higher nutrition algae product?
Yeah, by definition, it does that because the productivity is so much higher. If you consider a plant like soy, you know, its life cycle might be 90 to 100 days. Algae's life cycle is 2 to 4 hours. So we can grow in a number of hours what it would take, you know, sort of a third of a year to grow in terms of other products. And it's a near perfect food for us, for animals, and for aquaculture, in particular for aquaculture. So Spirulina, chlorella, some of the other strains.
Yeah, you've got a real amazing operation in St. Mary's. I remember when I was there, and I remember some of the technology that potential offshoot with lighting and things like that. It's wild stuff. Like it's mind-boggling, and because you're only taking, there was some rule that you could do this with the stack because you were less than 10% of
we can take as much. At the time when we started the company, these ideas of technologies like this were sort of unknown.
Yeah.
And so we were existing under a 1% umbrella at the time, taking less than 1%.
1% of the effluent.
Yeah, but now that the technology's been proven and we are building a full-scale plant at Stelco, the understanding is that the plant can grow to arbitrary size, limited only by the sort of capital investment we have to expand and how quickly we can get there. But you mentioned lighting. Lighting is what led to the first indications that there might be applicability in cannabis. Cannabis growers approached us and said, can you build us a cheaper light? I said, I can build you a cheaper and better light, but that's not your problem. Your problem is you need an integrated growth system.
Yeah.
We currently grow the most difficult to grow plant, algae. There's nothing more difficult to grow than algae because it grows so quickly. If you get it wrong for an hour, you lose it. Yeah, we can apply our growth technology to your application, and we think we can deliver real benefits. As well, one of our products fits with yours.
Okay, so where do you sit in terms of the development of the whole business in terms of revenue, profitability, et cetera?
Well, actually, with the acquisitions, we acquired the book of business of RF Ingredients, RFI Canada. They're a nutraceutical, they're basically a broker of algae products, spirulina, chlorella, the kinds of things we grow. And with Regenerix, which was just announced, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, you get so much going on, you don't always remember the exact date. We're actually beginning to generate revenue right now from algae and related products, as well as the astaxanthin derived products. So we're into revenue now. Our Q3 results were over $1 million in revenue from the work that we're doing at Stelco. So, or about $1 million in revenue from what we're doing at Stelco, and we're expecting to do very well over the next couple of years as we grow the business.
Well, great. All right. So you've got only 20 million shares outstanding?
So, yeah.
That's
a little more now with the acquisitions, but yeah.
Yeah, that's awfully tight share structure. So this,
I've heard that before.
Yeah. So this strikes me as something that is pretty much flying beneath everybody's radar because the product is obviously valuable. You're on the brink of profitability by the sounds of things, and you've got a very tight share structure. Do you need to raise any more capital to get to profitability?
It depends on how large we'd like to expand over the next year. We don't have to raise capital to get to profitability. We may look at raising capital to expand more quickly. The number of opportunities we have to deploy the technology, as you can imagine, every smokestack in North America is an opportunity.
Absolutely.
There's more than 10,000 of them. So it depends on how quickly we can address all of those. It's a function of how much capital we have available.
You bet. All right, that's a great update, Steve. We'll come back to you in due course. We'll probably send a camera crew out to get some footage of this.
You know what? I think you'd be extremely impressed. It looks to be like the cutting edge of
all homegrown, all Ontario-based technology.
And have you made any inroads into the cannabis space yet?
We have had some discussions with a few people. I think that they've gone through this phase of rapid growth in capacity. I think they're now beginning to focus more on production and productivity, and I think that that's a really nice sweet spot for us to get into discussions. So if people are interested, you should give me a call. I have the solution to your problems.
We will do. Thanks very much for that. We'll come back to you in due course and have you on again. Thanks for coming in today.